Om Shanti. So we'd arranged this extra session just in case anybody had questions, because up until now we hadn't allowed for questions because each session was quite intense. And so now, if you have questions, either you can raise your hand or you can write it in the chat box. These are the two options that are available. Might not be a question or just a statement, an observation, a comment that somebody wants to make about something which might not make sense to them about what we've discussed so far. So it looks like today will be a very peaceful session. And so if you want, we can do a few minutes meditation. Doesn't seem to be any questions. What is the spiritual heart? Okay. What is the spiritual heart? Heart represents the center. That we say that the heart of a place is the kitchen, or from my heart means from the very core of my being. This is where we'll use the word heart. So if we look at the spirit, then the center, you have mind, intellect, sanskars. The center is the intellect. The intellect is able to understand. The intellect, even though emotions and feelings are happening within the mind can't make sense of them. So it's the intellect which makes sense of what is happening. The intellect is the center one, and the intellect has the ability to control the mind, and the intellect will decide what goes into the sanskars. And so the spiritual heart, the heart of the spirit, is actually the buddhi, the intellect. And when the intellect is strong, means it listens to its conscience, it makes the right decisions, it has good willpower, then you would say the heart is strong. And so the intellect, like the examples I gave during the week, one is the intellect is the mother. And second, the other example I gave was the intellect is the hoarse whisperer. It's the intellect which is whispering to the mind. It's the intellect which is training the mind to create pure thoughts, to create peaceful thoughts. The intellect which is saying to the mind, slow down. Because the intellect has understanding, it has discernment power, it has the decision-making power. So you've made a decision, I want to slow down my thoughts. You've made a decision, I'm going to create a positive thought. The decision is made, then the positive thought is created. So what is the spiritual heart? The intellect. This physical heart is an organ of the body. It's a pump. It doesn't hold emotions. It doesn't hold feelings. We use this actually in the world, this image of the heart and feelings and love and all of that, it has been commercialized. But actually, The soul, it's a soul that has the quality of love. And somebody was saying to me today that they feel as if they've been cheated of their brother's love because the brother died in COVID last week. And so brother died and a sister died. And so she says, I have been cheated of my brother's love and my sister's love. And she goes, that's what, it was a family. We were a family, and now it's fallen apart. So I said that if I'm expecting love from another, that makes me dependent. Doesn't matter how close the relationship is. I'm wanting them to love me. I'm expecting them to love me. I'm saying that that relationship is one where there's a give and take of love. Love is not a commodity. Love is not something that you give and take. Love is what I am. It's like the radiator. When it's on, then it just radiates the heat, the warmth. The sun radiates. It doesn't discriminate and it doesn't want either. So I, the soul, am the same. We're always radiating. Whatever we're going through, that's what we radiate. If we're going through worry, if we're experiencing worry, then that's the vibes that will go out. That's the atmosphere that will be created. Like when the radiator is on in the room, and so it will warm up the room. So when I understand that I am love, then that's what I will radiate. That's why I said in the course a few days ago, whatever we are going through, it's contagious. If I am in a state of negativity, then I will make others around me negative if they are not strong. If they are strong, they will remain unaffected by the negativity. But if they are the type that are easily influenced, then they will also become negative. And so we meditate so that I remain unaffected. I'm unaffected by other people's attitude. I'm unaffected by their vibrations. I'm unaffected by whatever they're going through. The only way I can remain unaffected is when I am a detached observer. So this lady that came today, she was emotionally, she was in quite a state. She'd lost her brother and her sister both. So I asked her, because she was like, how can I remain unaffected? So I asked her, when you listen to the news or when you're watching a serial or you're watching television or something, you're watching a film, when someone dies in the film or when you hear it on the news, what do you go through at that moment? You hear news of somebody dying. Do you even remember 2 or 3 hours later the news that you heard? She goes, no, I don't. So why were you not affected when you hear the news? She goes, just listen to it and that's it. I never bother. So that is exactly what it means to be a detached observer, to remain unaffected. And you can say, well, it's my brother or my sister, it's family, all of these things. Yes, it can be somebody very close to you. But if I get hurt, upset, if I'm feeling injustice, because that's what this woman was feeling today, that there's been injustice, then you're not able to give any good vibrations to the soul that has departed. Because that soul that departed also needs the support, the cooperation, and the comfort of your good wishes, your love, your vibrations. It needs that. It doesn't need that you are crying and angry and hurt. It doesn't need that. It wants our support in the form of good wishes, and the good wishes would include I am so honored to have known you. Another good wish would be have a safe journey, or farewell would be another good wish, that it's time for farewell. Another good wish is thank you for teaching me whatever you taught me. Thank you for being you. Thank you, I learned so much from you. So even though that person was close, but you still have to have pure thoughts and good wishes for that soul and not start crying because it's all reaching. Because that soul, it's still, its bond is still with the family that is left behind. It hasn't yet connected with a new family. So because its bond, because its pull is toward the family that's left behind, and why is it being pulled there? Because every member of that family is remembering that person. And so it needs a gentle push. It needs that comfort of knowing it's okay to move on. That I'll manage, I'll be okay. Please don't worry about me. Please, wherever you go, be happy. So it's like we learn new thoughts to have about the soul that is left. And it's very necessary, and especially at times like this. It's like we have no control. We can't go to them. We can't do anything for them. We can't say goodbye to them properly. And so there's a feeling of that I am not receiving closure. And sometimes that's what we need. So we have to, that soul is gone. I have to give myself closure. I'm not to blame. I can't feel guilty. There might be regrets for some unfinished business or something unsaid that you meant to say it, but you didn't get to say it. And so it's like you want to communicate with that soul that's departed, but you don't know how to. And so it's like when you want to send somebody a message. Supposing I want to send you a WhatsApp message. I'll put it into my phone. I write the message and then I press send. That message doesn't go directly to the person, to the other person. It goes to the satellite, first of all. Now we know that in outer space, the companies, telephone companies, etc., have put satellites up there. So the message goes to that satellite and then it goes to the person. Doesn't matter how close the person is sitting next to you. But it goes up first, then they get the message. The same applies here. And so next week, when we do the lesson on God, we will learn that we also have a satellite to whom we can send the message and they will get that message to the other person. Even though God can get your message to the other person because he's the satellite, not necessary you will get a reply. What the other person feels is the vibrations you are sending. And so there is a way of communicating, and I have to be very careful what kind of thoughts I create for someone who has departed. Because don't forget, especially if they departed in especially if they departed in tragic circumstances, they also have something they want to say, which they are not able to say. So it's my duty, I have the ability to make them feel it's okay. Whatever we've learned from you, we will put that into practice. I have to have very comforting thoughts for the soul that is gone. I have an advantage. The soul that is gone doesn't have the advantage. I have that advantage because I am in a physical body. I, the soul, am in the physical body, and I can use my thoughts to communicate, but not expect a response. I just have to say what I need to say and allow that soul to move on. If I'm having sad, sorrowful thoughts that why did you leave me? It's not fair. You shouldn't have. I didn't do anything wrong. Bad things happened to me. If I'm having those kind of thoughts, then they are pulling the soul back. So the heart of the spirit is the intellect. The intellect can decide what kind of thought to create. The intellect can decide where to send those thoughts. We are making decisions all day long, and it's within the intellect that the decisions are happening. I hope that answers your question. Okay. If there are no more questions, then I suggest we do a meditation, and then we meet again on our regular Monday to Thursday evenings. How do you detach the news? Example, we don't know the people on the news. Okay, how do you detach? How did you attach? I have to understand detachment. A lot of people have a very wrong idea, there's misconception about this word detachment. Detachment doesn't mean I don't care. Detachment doesn't mean I'm turning my back. Detachment doesn't mean you do your thing and I'll do my thing. Detachment means I am giving the other person space. And because I'm giving the other person space, I am also creating space for myself. So, for example, this two together is attachment. This is detachment. I'm not saying this, I'm saying this, where you have given the other person space and you have given yourself space. So now, when you're detached, you can help the other person more. When you're attached, you can't help them because you're constantly absorbing their energy. There's so much attachment, it's like you cannot separate your energy from their energy. You're absorbing their energy all the time in attachment. In detachment, just a little bit away. So if something happens to A, then B can help. So if A falls, B can help A. So when I'm listening to the news, we are detached from the person who's in the news or the people who are in the news. We don't know them. But you can still send good vibration. Remember the satellite. So in next week's lessons, you will learn how to connect to that satellite, to that powerhouse, and get your message to the person if you have a message, And so I noticed in the chat box, the question continues, how do you detach from someone you're close to in death? See, the soul, it's played its part. Whatever role it had with you, it's completed. And so it now has another role to play. It doesn't mean that the soul has left the stage. Soul is still here on the stage. It's gone to play another role. And so it's not a question, well, actually, the purpose of detachment is so I can help more, I can give more, I can remain unaffected. That is the purpose of being detached. Detachment hasn't got anything to do with loving or not loving. I am love, and when I am love, then naturally whatever I give out is love to whoever I meet. There's no discrimination. And it's a love which is clean, a love which is pure, a love which is not based on, see, what is love based on these days? I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine. Or you owe me this much. Or love is based on different things these days. But when I have this awareness, I am a soul, I am love, then there's no question of giving or taking. We're not bartering. It's not a commodity. But it's all I know. When you have this soul conscious awareness, then it's like you don't know anything else. All I know is I am love. For an O, I am peace. Whatever I am, that is what I will give out. And in detachment, you feel good about yourself and you feel good that you've done something to help the other soul. In attachment, I cannot help because I'm too busy absorbing. I'm too busy feeling what the other one is feeling. In detachment, I can help much more. And that is what the other soul needs. It needs help. It needs strength. It needs good vibrations. It needs good thoughts sent to it. Because those positive thoughts work like a support. They're giving comfort to that soul. It's like when a mother picks up her child, she gives it comfort. And so our positive thoughts, our pure thoughts give comfort to another soul. They are able to catch your thoughts simply because if they don't have a physical body, then the soul is free from thousands of thoughts. It's free from, and now I need to sleep, or now I need to eat, and now I need to go to work, or now I need to buy this, and now I need to. It's free from anything to do with the physical body. So, like I said earlier in the session, the soul is not engaged. When I'm in this physical body, then the soul is engaged in so many different thoughts. But once that soul leaves the physical body, it has no thoughts about the body. It's not even attracted to the body because it's been freed. Death, for the person that's gone, they will feel a freedom because the physical body that they were in is one of where there might have been suffering or there might have been some kind of illness or something. So when they leave the body, they feel liberated. If they were given the option, think about anybody you know who was sick and has died. If they were given the option to come back into that physical body, what do you think they would say? Yes or no? Yes or no? Because they can see that they were suffering in that body. So they wouldn't want to come back either. So if it's somebody that's suffering and they have left the body, then it's a liberation for them. I have to think of them, not me. If I'm thinking of myself, then you would say, well, I'm selfish. But think of the soul that's gone, how it would feel, how it feels. And so there are many different situations when it comes to death. See, there's death when somebody's in old age and they die, they pass away. Then we say that to celebrate that they had such a full life. There's sudden death. There's death which is related to suffering. See, now because of COVID, cancer patients aren't getting a look in. Cancer patients are almost being put to one side. And so there is suffering. And so the soul, it wants to be liberated from suffering. It doesn't want to be liberated from the relationship, it wants liberation from the suffering. Because don't forget, the body is 24/7 with the soul. And the one who's suffering, yes, there's a relationship and they love the other person, but 24/7 suffering, it's a lot. And they almost welcome that they're able to leave that body and move on. And so detachment, you could call it a skill, but detachment comes from I will not be able to be detached unless I myself have practiced that I am the soul detached from this body. I have to work on my own self first, practice detachment from the soul and body. They're two different things. Human being, two different things. When I practice that, then it's easy to practice being detached from another person. Because the way you look at that person is they are a soul they are a soul who is playing a role through this physical body. But firstly, if I haven't done it for myself, it's going to be very, very difficult. And so I hope that answers your question a little bit. But as we progress in the course, you will see that the soul, it has to leave the body at some point. That is one guarantee we have. Everybody, when they're born, there's this guarantee that we will leave one day. And yet, when somebody dies, we are shocked, we are hurt, because we formed attachment. Sometimes it's not attachment, it's a bond. A mother and child, they have a bond. But when that soul, supposing one or the other leaves, so if the mother leaves, then the child will remember that mother a great deal for the rest of its life. It will think of its mother. But if it's thinking of the mother in sorrow, in sadness, she left me, I'm so young, I never had a good childhood, I was from a very young age, I lost my mother. So if I'm thinking those kind of thoughts, those sad thoughts reach that soul because there was a bond. So it's like it reaches, and that soul cannot do anything, cannot do anything. So it feels even more helpless. The best thing is to say at that time, thank you, bless you, be happy, I love you. There are thoughts that we can have for that soul. So when I'm alive, the next question, how to be detached? Simple. We practice it in meditation every day. I, the soul, am separate from this body. I, the soul, am the master of this body. So the thoughts we're having remind us of the human and the being are two different things. It's because they've come together that we have the human being, but otherwise they are separate. So, this practice of detaching myself from this physical body helps me a great deal. It helps me to help others. It helps me to understand all the sorrow that there is in the world today, because there's a lot of sorrow. And it's like mountains of sorrow are falling on each and every person. Mountains. Previously, what people used to think that, oh, BKs don't die from COVID. Nowadays, we get so much news that so many sisters who live in centers, 40s, 50s, they've passed away because of COVID. So it's like COVID spares no one. So COVID doesn't look at where you live, what you do, what you eat, nothing. Even I used to think when when I first heard about it in March, I thought maybe those who are vegetarian, they won't get COVID. But many times I've been proven wrong. And so detachment is a skill. Detachment is an art. And once I master that art, I will love myself more because I'm able to give more love, more peace, more happiness, simply because I, the soul, I have detached from the physical body. But in next week's lesson, you'll learn where the soul is able to travel to and get power from. But it's only able to do that with this awareness, with this knowledge, with this attitude. I, the soul, am separate from the physical body. So it's a big subject, detachment. It's a huge subject. So is there any more questions? Okay, so what we'll do now, we'll have a few minutes meditation, and you can think of somebody that has passed away, but you're going to send a satellite. You're going to send a message to that satellite that's up there. And that satellite will get your message to the person that you've lost or that you loved, because loving is not wrong. Loving is, we're human beings, there is love. The quality of the soul is love. But attachment gives sorrow. I'm going to give you a definition of the difference between love and attachment. Love gives, attachment takes. So look at your situation and decide, is it love or is it attachment? Because if it's love, you will give space, you will give respect, you will give happiness, you will give many things. But if it's attachment, you want, you will cling, you will demand, taking energy, taking support, taking from the other person. So this is the simplest definition I can give for love and attachment, how to know the difference. Because in relationship, it's either love or attachment. And when there's love, there's a lot more respect. Okay, so we'll now do a meditation. Make the body still, relaxed, but still. And then focus on your thoughts, the thoughts which are happening within the soul. Become fully aware of the soul. The soul is the master. The soul is light. The soul can go from one body to another at the speed of light. I am able to detach from this physical body because I know that I, the soul, am separate. I am like a witness. I am witnessing the drama that is unfolding in front of me. I, the soul, am the actor, and I am a spectator. Spectator is detached. I, the spectator, watch the different scenes unfolding before me. I am peace. I can send thoughts of peace. I am love. I can send the vibration of love to anyone in the world. I am a pure and peaceful soul, playing my role. I, the soul, am playing a role. Om Shanti. Om Shanti. So I'll finish here today, and I'll see you all on Monday. Yes? Thank you, everybody. Thank you.